If you are looking for a guide for the exotic class items for that sweet succulent loot you've been waiting a week for, you've come to the right place. If for whatever reason you haven't seen Datto or any other content creator's guide, you're throwing. I'm here to show you how to obtain the exotic class items and how to access the Dual Destiny mission, which is arguably one of the best missions that Bungie has ever created, as well as details on how you can farm for these exotic class items to obtain that god role. Most of the imagery on the locations prior to accessing the Dual Destiny mission will be taken from Datto or Astacross Video. I am Smoothbrain and didn't record my progress towards obtaining access to the mission, so thank you to those guys. The first step in granting access to the Dual Destiny mission is to play everyone's favorite activity, Overthrow. You will have to complete a max tier overthrow in 3 locations within the Pale Heart. These locations are something you should be quite familiar with if you've done anything within the Pale Heart, as they are the 3 locations you could travel to. But if you still don't know where these 3 locations are, they include the Landing, the Blooming, and the Impasse. For video purposes, I am going to go in order in which the locations appear on the map, but you do not need to complete the 3 overthrows in any specific order, just as long as you complete a max tier overthrow in each location. The first overthrow location can be found in the Landing. Upon killing the final boss, you will have to find a hidden enemy and kill them. Once the final boss dies, there will be text on your screen stating a secret keeper of the Witch Queen is near. I have heard reports that sometimes the secret keeper does not spawn upon killing the final boss in overthrow. This happened to my brother and I cannot say for sure how you can guarantee the spawn, but waiting for the overthrow dialogue to end before traveling to the secret keeper spawn location seemed to help. So where is the secret keeper spawn location? Just follow my path that I take from spawn for an easy guide on the secret keeper's location. Once you have found the secret keeper, all you need to do is kill it. You will then move to the next location on the map and repeat the process. Complete max tier overthrow, wait for the text to pop up, find the secret keeper, and kill it. The next secret keeper can be found in the Blooming. After defeating the final boss in overthrow, follow my path from the Blooming spawn location to find the second secret keeper, then kill it. The third and final overthrow location can be found in the Impasse. Once again, kill the final overthrow boss, wait for the text, and head to the location of the final secret keeper, which can be found from my path here. Just a side note for the people that don't know, Overthrow's progression is tied to killing enemies, but you can speed the process up by completing the public event objectives, collecting planetary materials, and looting world chests. By far the quickest way to progress through tiers is by completing the public event objectives, as they give you 450 progress. Planetary materials give you 15 progress, and looting world chests give you 25 progress. If you see any planetary materials or world chests, pick them up, because why not? Using a finder mod on your ghosts will show you exactly where these things are, so you can easily pick them up to get through overthrow a lot quicker. Now that you are done bashing your head into the wall for an hour and you have killed all 3 secret keepers, Travel to the blooming and follow the big green beam in the sky. The beam will lead you to this area in the refraction. Once you are in the room, a 7-minute timer will appear that says Savathun's Envoy. Once the timer is started, you will then progress forward where you will see 2 objective markers on your map. Those 2 areas will spawn a decent amount of adds as well as a subjugator at each location. Kill the subjugators. Upon killing the subjugators, one will drop 1 refracted light ball and the other will drop a darkness ball. You will then take those balls to the room where you initially got the Savathun's Envoy buff and dunk the balls on the correct plates. Light to light, dark to dark, within that 7-minute timer. After dunking the balls, there will be a flag in the same room that you dunked in where you can start the mission. The mission is designed specifically for 2 people, so you will need another person in your fire team to do and start the mission. If you don't have friends like me that play this godforsaken game, head to the fire team finder and grab a fellow guardian. Boot up the mission and prepare to have a blast as you play one of the best missions Destiny has ever seen. Before loading into the mission, I recommend having both players of your fire team run Prismatic, so that the light align and dark align buffs are assigned to you at random. If you do not want to run Prismatic, one member will have to be on a light subclass for the light align buff, and the other on a dark subclass for the dark align buff. You are not equipment locked for this mission, but you are subclass locked, so plan accordingly. The mission is also timed. However, you will gain more time by completing sections of the mission. I do recommend that you do this mission blind instead of watching the rest of this guide because it is a really cool mission, but if you have a significant other with 4 kids and absolutely hate fun, here is a guide on how to complete the mission, so spoilers ahead. The first objective is to escape the first room. You do this by first identifying who in your fire team is light aligned and who is dark aligned. You will then see 2 plates in the room, one glowing with light and the other with darkness. The person with the light aligned buff will stand on the light plate and the dark aligned person will stand on the dark plate. You will both need to be standing on your specific plates at the same time to drop the barrier. This will be the case for the rest of the mission, light to light, dark to dark. Once the barrier is down, traverse through the area until you come across the area you killed the subjugators in before gaining access to the mission. There will be a lot of adds that spawn, however, I found out later that you can actually just skip them and locate your light and dark plates to drop another barrier blocking your path. The light plate can be found following this path. And the dark plate can be found following this path. Once each person is at their designated plate, stand on them simultaneously to bring down the second barrier. Once again, traverse through the area until you come up upon this area here, which will bring you to the first encounter. Don't forget to rally before starting. Once you enter the area, there will be your light and dark plates again. Dark will be straight ahead when you first enter the room, and light will be just below it. For this encounter, there will be adds that spawn, and eventually an enemy that can only be damaged by dark aligned players, and an enemy that can only be damaged by light aligned players. These enemies will spawn in the area of where the plate is, so dark enemy will spawn by the dark aligned person, and the light enemy will spawn by the light aligned person. These enemies will drop a single mote upon killing them. The motes will be a dark mote for a dark enemy kill, and a light mote for a light enemy kill. In this encounter, the light aligned person will be the reader, and the dark aligned person will be the shooter. This means that once the light person picks up a mote, they will see a symbol from Vow of the Disciple that will appear on the pedestal in their area that they will have to call out for the dark aligned player, since they cannot see which symbol is correct. On the other side, when the dark aligned player picks up the mote, they will see two symbols with a node that they can shoot underneath the symbol. You will need to shoot the node under the symbol that the light aligned player called out. In this encounter, each player will pick up two motes from their assigned enemies. The light aligned player will need to call out two symbols, while the dark aligned player shoots the nodes of the two symbols called. The dark aligned player will have to shoot the symbols in order in which they appear for the light aligned player. When done successfully, you will be teleported to a new area where the dark aligned person then becomes the reader, and the light aligned person becomes the shooter. You will need to collect motes from your designated enemy once again, but this time you will need to collect 3 instead of 2, for 3 symbols that need to be read and shot. Just like in the first area of the encounter, you will shoot the symbols in order in which they appear. Since the dark aligned player is now the reader in this room, upon picking up a mote, a symbol will appear on a pedestal near the light aligned player. You will need to call out the symbols for the light aligned player, just as they did for you previously. The light aligned player will gather their 3 light motes from their enemy and shoot the nodes under the symbols that the dark aligned player called out for them. Remember to shoot them in order in which they were called out, or else your motes will be stripped, and you'll have to start the area over again. When done successfully, you will once again be teleported to a new area where the rules will change back to the same way they were in the first area. So the light aligned player will be the reader, and the dark aligned player will be the shooter. The only difference is that you will have to gather 4 motes this time, and read or shoot, depending on your role, 4 symbols. When done successfully, the encounter will complete and you will move on to a platforming section. In this section, you will have to traverse through the platforming section to make it to the next encounter. The section is pretty straightforward, but in case you need it, I will show you the pathing in 2x speed. As you traverse through this section, you will once again see a light and dark plate for you to stand on. Do so as you have previously done, and stand in them simultaneously. There will be 3 plates that each player will have to stand on that progress higher up in the room as you stand in the plates. Each player will move up to their assigned plate and stand on them for a new set of plates to appear. Once the platform section is complete, it will bring you to the second encounter. This encounter is full of adds that continuously spawn, so I recommend bringing ad clear weapons and builds, as well as weapons that are good for killing tormentors. Yes, there are tormentors in this room, because Bungie has a hard-on for tormentors. The tormentor is very important though. For the person that deals the killing blow to the tormentor, they will receive a buff called Harmonic Sundering that lasts 30 seconds. You will use this buff to shoot nodes that will spawn in the front of the room. These nodes will look like this. It will not be as simple as just shoot the nodes, as you have stumbled upon your first puzzle. The way you solve this puzzle is by shooting the 3 nodes that were not seen by you or your teammate. There are 9 nodes total, where most of the nodes will have a beam going towards the center, but the beams for one person will not be the same for the other person. Each player will see 3 nodes that do not have beams going towards the center. My team and I numbered these nodes starting from the top left, 1 through 9. You can use clock-based callouts, as the node's formation does resemble a clock, and you will need clock-based callouts in the boss room anyway, so use what is more comfortable to you. The objective of the puzzle is to have both players call out which nodes they see that do not have a beam going to the center. Once those calls have been established, you find the 3 nodes that were not called by either you or your teammate. For example, if I see nodes 1, 3, and 9 not have a beam, and my teammate sees nodes 2, 5, and 7 not have a beam, we know that neither of us saw node 4, 6, 8. Therefore, those are the ones that need to be shot. Basically, the person who has the Harmonic Sundering buff will shoot the 3 nodes that neither of you called out. When done correctly, it will say Light and Darkness Surge, destabilizing an obelisk. If any other text appears, you effed it up and did it wrong. You will then complete this 2 more times for a total of 3 times to complete the encounter. Once completed, you will do some traversing once again, with some light and dark plates along the way, until you make it to the final boss arena. Or bosses, wink wink. The boss room will start with a good chunk of ads spawning in the arena, as well as a subjugator boss. You can damage the boss instantly, so start melting them. Once you do enough damage to get the boss to 66% health, or 2/3 of its health bar left, it will go immune and spawn 2 wizards. One wizard that can only be damaged by the light aligned player, and the other by the dark aligned player. This is similar to the moat enemies each player killed in the first encounter. Once both wizards are dead, you will have more symbols to read and shoot. The symbols will spawn by the immune bosses, and one player will read those symbols from top to bottom, while the other shoots them in order in which they appeared. The symbols will spawn throughout the room, and it is very similar to what you have done in previous encounters. Once these symbols are shot correctly, the boss will then become unimmune, ready for you to damage once again. When the boss's health reaches 33%, or 1/3 of its health bar left, it will go immune once again. At this moment, the second boss will then show itself, and you will repeat the same process as the first. Get the boss to 66% health, shoot your designated wizards, read or shoot symbols depending on your role, damage the boss to 33% health. Once both bosses are at 33% health, They will remain immune until you solve your second puzzle of the mission. Before you can solve the puzzle, it will spawn a light and dark wizard once again, where you need to shoot your designated wizard to be able to begin solving the second puzzle. If you were scanning the room as you were fighting for your life, you may have noticed two clock-like dials on the sides of the room. This is where those clock callouts that we talked about earlier in the video will come in handy. The clock will have a similar look to the one in the second encounter, nodes with beams going to the middle, but this one will have 12 nodes instead of 9. My team and I use clock callouts numbering 1 through 12 to resemble that of a clock. The first thing to do is to establish which clock is your clock. To do this, you will notice one clock will have all nodes with beams going towards the center, while the other will only have 4 beams glowing with all others not. Each player will need to stand by their clock that has the 4 beams displayed, so split 1 and 1. The 4 beams will be displayed for only a few seconds. Then another new set of 4 beams will be shown, followed by one more set of 4. The goal is to shoot the node both of you have that is the same for a given set. For example, if my teammate calls out 2 using the clock callouts, I would notice that I also have 2 lit. Since we both have 2 lit in common, we would both shoot 2 at the same time. Just like in the second encounter, you will do that 2 more times for the other sets of 4 beams, for a total of 3 times. Once your fire team shoots the last common node for the last set, both bosses will become unimmune at the same time. Point and shoot your gun at them till they die. Once dead, the mission isn't quite over yet. I will not spoil what happens next. There's no need to worry. There's no complexity to it. But I just don't want to ruin it because it is very goofy and kind of fun, and I want you to experience it on your own. Once you have done that last part, the mission is over, and you get rewarded with a randomly rolled class item as long as you go up to the podium to grab it. I will make a video in the near future with possible perk combinations that I think would be good for the builds with the exotic class items, so be on the lookout for that. I'm sure you all want to know how you farm the exotic class items to get the god rolls for your builds. You may not like the answer to this since you just sweat your balls off for an hour just to get an absolutely dog shit roll, but you can farm them by running the exotic mission over again for a guaranteed chance of getting one. You will be able to launch the mission from the Pale Heart on any character, so you will not need to redo the overthrow or anything like that to start the mission. There seems to be no cap on this, so farm away. The other way to get them is by collecting any chest within the Pale Heart. I'm not sure exactly what the drop rate is, but they are pretty rare, so just nut up and do the mission. And that is how you obtain the new exotic class items in Destiny 2. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.